Heading into the season, it seems like, at least on paper, and I know coaches hate to hear that, you've got the chance to be a really good football team. What are your overall thoughts on your squad?
Well, we have an older team, very much like we were 2 years ago, senior heavy. We got 24 seniors. A lot of the guys have played since they were sophomores. Some have played since they were freshmen. And combined with that, last year with the smaller senior group, we were forced to play a handful of freshmen who will fill in as very quality sophomores. So I kind of feel like we're in the same situation we were in 2 years ago.
That situation 2 years ago, the home playoff game, and you're so close. I mean, you're leading LaRondre, the school history, we're gonna do it. Do you feel like this team has a chance to get that first playoff victory? And is that a realistic goal for this year's squad?
Well, it's definitely something the kids talk about. You know, you want to keep your kids focused, and you've got all your coach speak and focusing on games at a time and everything, but there is the excitement there, and you know, people are talking about it. But if we can just keep our guys focused on preseason, getting into the scrimmage, getting into the jamboree, week 1, getting through the district, we'll worry about that if the opportunity presents itself.
I want to go through your biggest hole before we talk about offense here. Randy Raymond leaves a really big hole. You're kind of set at other positions, but for people unfamiliar with Lakeshore football, who's going to step up in the backfield for you this year?
Well, you know, losing prior to Randy, we had David Ducree for 3 years, and the question was who was going to replace Dave. And we knew what we had with Randy watching him in JV, and then he was a solid running back for us for 2 years. And then we kind of feel the same way with Josh Hayes. You know, we plugged him in a little bit at running back when he was in JV, but then last year he started at free safety for us. So he's been on the field varsity-wise for a year, spot played as a sophomore, but he'll be the guy that steps in as a senior and fills that role.
All right. Who else could you see possibly in the backfield, or is it more of a Josh is our bell cow? Because the last couple of years it's been, we've got one running back, he's going to get a majority of the carries.
Well, we like a sophomore, Max Lowry. We're definitely going to take one of our receivers, Jacob Bernard, and put him in the backfield as well. We could also take another receiver in Desmond Labastri at times and put him in the backfield. You know, it just depends on what we feel like we can utilize each week based on, you know, what we're going to be going against.
Having someone with as much experience to where you've got a good feel of what he's going to do, and he's got a good feel of what you're trying to get him to do under center like Chris Penton. Before we talk about what he can do on the field, the experience, how does it help him just be an overall better quarterback and leader for your team under center?
Well, you know, Chris grew tremendously throughout the season last year. You know, from play in week 1 all the way through the growth that he showed us during the season into the playoffs was fantastic. You know, because we didn't really know he was a cornerback for us as a sophomore. You know, he played quarterback in junior high and he played quarterback as a freshman, but then he was too athletic to keep off the field. So he played cornerback for us as a sophomore, and then, you know, when you take a year off, you got to get your timing, you got to get back, and the system changed. You know, but I'm excited to have him for another year. You know, you're not just, you know, stepping in with a new kid with an older group and then having that as a question mark. We're very comfortable with what Chris gives us.
I'm not asking you to get specific on injuries or any kind of stuff, but he was kind of fighting it last year. How you can't predict injuries, and you can't really, you know, say, oh, if you do this, you're not going to get injuries. But do you feel like, or at least hope, if we can have him for 10 regular season games, we've got the chance to really do something special?
Well, sure. I mean, you never want your starting quarterback to get hurt, but it's the reality of football. And we lost him for 2 games last year. But we have a junior behind him in Parker Orban who stepped in and played well when Chris was out. You know, and Parker had a great summer as well. So if that unfortunate situation takes place, you know, Parker can easily step in, and I don't feel like we'll miss too much until Chris gets healthy. But obviously, you never want anything to happen to your starting quarterback.
You make the case you have the best, not just pair, but tandem or foursome of wide receivers in the parish, you know, in terms of just overall God-given ability, you know, with Jacob, with Dez, and a bunch of other kids. Just talk about who's going to be able to step up there, and how much confidence do you have in your wide receivers?
You know, we're excited about our group. We feel like we got 5 guys that we can throw out there. We've got we got Josh Massa, who spot played as a receiver for us last year, but really started becoming a starter towards the end of the year. Des Labastri has been a starter for 3 years. Jacob Bernard's going to be a 3-year starter for us. Jalen Willis started for us as a sophomore and then hurt his knee last year and missed the season, and he's back. And then we have a sophomore, Jake Smeroldo, who played as a freshman. So with those guys, we're excited with what they can do. They've all been in the system for 2-3 years, so we're not starting back from scratch. And then we really like some of our younger guys as well that's behind them. Guys who will get to play a lot in JV, but if needed, can step up and play on the varsity as well.
I'm interested to know, how do you approach it with Jacob, where if I'm an opponent of Lakeshore High, I'm going to coming into the game saying, I'm not going to let Jacob Bernard beat us, no matter if he's kicking, throwing, running, receiving, whatever. Is he ready to accept that role of, I'm probably going to see a lot of double teams, I'm probably going to see a lot of boxes or zones on me? Do you feel like he's ready to make that adjustment as the receiver?
Well, the fact that he gets that attention is a testament to just his athleticism and how good he is, but I feel like we have so many other kids that can complement him that if somebody does want to pay that much attention to him, we can easily attack somewhere else, not necessarily use Jacob as a decoy all the time, but if need be, that's something that's in our playbook. Plus, Jacob is a smart kid, and we can move him all around. We don't need to necessarily keep him in one position, always have him on one side of the field. We can do stuff with him as well to help him out, but it's a blessing to have those 5 guys that can work around him.
None of this is going to be possible unless you get good play up front on the offensive line. Talk to me about your starters there and your rotation that you're going to probably have set.
Our what looks like to be our starting group is also a group that has a lot of experience. Our left tackle is Cedric Hyman. He's a returning starter. Our left guard is going to be Greg Clark. He's a kid that transferred in to us last year, and then he'll be able to step in and start. He started where he transferred from. Caden Gazzardo is going to step in at center. He was a starting guard for us last year, and he's moving over to the center spot. Greg's a junior. Caden's going to be a sophomore. Right guard is Max Yelvington, who's a senior who started last year. And then right tackle is Brennan Langclose, who's started at tackle last year as well. And then we got a couple younger guys that we really like that are kind of pushing. Taylor Ladner at the tackle position. We really like a sophomore, Carter Smith, playing guard or center. And then Steven Stein is a big kid who's a senior who's going to work to try and get some playing time as well.